Hi everyone. Second time going live today because the audio didn't work on the first one, so apologies if you popped up. And if it feels a bit deja vu-ish for you, that's how it feels for me. Anyway, just thought that I would do a little bit of an update on Tommy, on Dal, on Kelly, who is now known lovingly as Miss Dotty Daisy. A little bit of an update on Ken as well, gorgeous Ken. And of course, a live broadcast wouldn't be a live broadcast without our Molly. So here we are. Thank you for popping in. If you're here, that is great that you're here. If you're joining us on a recorded version of this, welcome, welcome. We're going live on YouTube and we're trying to build our subscribers up on YouTube. So we'd be very, very grateful if you could hit subscribe and like on YouTube and watch the whole video through. It's going to be probably about half an hour's long. So if you can't afford that time, just keep it running. We need to build up the hours on YouTube to help the dogs. So thanks very much indeed for that. That would be absolutely brilliant on our part. Right. So the first doggy that we're going to have a look at and be reacquainted with is the gorgeous Tommy. So I've got a little video here showing the amazing Tommy. He is with his dad. I'm just going to mute the video itself, but it'll play. So his dad Robson is sat on the floor in the living room, and the reason for that is that Tommy is really comfortable in the room that you can see at the back there with the table and chairs. So that's his room. It's his window on the garden. It's got lovely patio doors going out to the garden. He's quite happy mooching through that threshold, which is fantastic. So he goes in and out really happily. And he loves spending time in that room there. Now he is venturing into the lounge, and you can see where there's a threshold where Robson's feet are. You can actually see that's the start of the kitchen. So I'm taking a video from the kitchen. Now, lovely Tommy, we'll just set this. So lovely Tommy is coming into that room, but not spending much time there. So we want him to just have more duration and feel more comfortable in the lounge in the kitchen area. And so, of course, Robson and Paige are absolutely besotted with Tommy and doing a great job with him. And they bought him lots of treats and lots of toys, and he's a very happy, well-enriched little boy. One of the things that we find very good are things like Kongs and snuffle mats and so on. So for duration, because when you've got something like, doggy cheese or doggy liver paste inside a Kong, then the dog will, if the dog is food orientated and feels comfortable enough, it will spend time licking the inside of that Kong. So it releases feel-good endorphins, and that's a great thing to do in an area where you want a dog to feel comfortable. So we hadn't got a snuffle mat, so we took a tea towel and we impromptu'd a snuffle mat. So we were very creative in our thinking. So what we did was just folded it up into lots of little folds and put lots of little treats inside the tea towel. So it's a tea towel snuffle mat, and it worked just as well as a snuffle mat would do. So that's what you can see on Robson's, by the side of Robson, that Tommy was just sniffing. So I'm just gonna play that video again. And what we want Tommy to do is we want him to stay longer in that area, and also we want him to feel really comfortable around Paige and Robson and visitors in that area too. So whereas Robson could move his hands quite freely near Tommy in the back room where the chairs are, when you change the criteria, so the room changes, it becomes more of a PTSD moment. So, oh my God, here I am, and Tommy becomes a bit more hyper aware of things, and we want him to relax and stay longer. So that's why Robson is sitting there really quietly, moving his hands very carefully, giving Tommy's treats, because Tommy is very food orientated, which is fantastic, and just encouraging him to stay longer. So as you can see, it's a big deal for Tommy to come in, and for all of that to be going on. So what happens is he goes back into the back room where the dining chairs and the dining table are, and he just lays on the floor, but not for very long. So his recovery time is very, very short. Some dogs will be super exhausted by that, and they'll need an hour's sleep. And you can imagine, and you can prepare for that too. What lovely Tommy did was he went back into that room, and then within no time at all, he was back up and exploring the lounge again. So in essence, what we're aiming to do is to set up things that Tommy is interested in, the space that he doesn't spend a lot of time in, so that he can start to spend more time in there and be more relaxed and happy. So we're opening up his world by making the lounge and the kitchen area just as comfortable as the dining room area. So there's another little video, as we'll see here. There we go. And we'll just watch this. When he comes to that cloth, click and treat him. Sniffing around. He's going to come towards the kitchen. It's really big stuff, but look how wary he is. Does he come into the kitchen area?
Yeah, he does now, yeah. The last 2 or 3 days.
Okay, that's good. So he comes into that area, but he doesn't hang around, and he goes back to his dining room. So we want reasons for him to stay, and then forget that he's worried, chill out, relax, release those endorphins, and just stay longer. Just slowly open and close your eyes and yawn. Those are calming signals. So good boy. When he comes back again, click treat him. Okay. There he goes, back into the dining room, just for a reboot, just to be able to have a few moments decompression. See how long it takes just to recalibrate. And he doesn't take very long at all. I'm not sure we see it on this video, but he comes back really quickly, which is a fantastic sign. We always measure a dog's rehabilitation by their recovery speed, which is fantastic. So thank you very much indeed, Robson and Paige, for giving Tommy this wonderful experience and being so focused on him and doing all the right things. Absolutely delighted with his progress, and we'll catch up with him somewhere along the line as well. So I am going to move on to another little dog called Dal. Bloody hell. Forgive my French, but sometimes these dogs absolutely astound me. So I think by the time that I'd got to see Dal, I think she'd been here probably about 2 weeks, maybe 12, 14 days, something like that. And here is what we're doing. So this space that she is in, she's feeling really, really comfortable in. So she's by the front door. She is, so that front door is not being used. She's by the front door, and she's got 2 walls by the side of her. So that's a little nook for her to feel comfortable and safe. So she knows things can only approach her from one place in front of her, and therefore she can kind of switch off her need to be looking left, right, and behind her. So clever little girl. She's found that really that safe place to be, which is wonderful. So Louise has done a fantastic job with her. And what we are doing in this video is we're just progressing forward for Dal to be able to accept the lead, so that a couple of things, that we can approach her with the action of clipping on a lead and then clipping off a lead, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. So she's got a collar around her neck. She hasn't got a harness on just yet. And so we're clipping it onto the collar around her neck. Now, if you think about how they're treated in the dog meat farms, they would be grabbed with hands, they would be dragged with leads because they would be frightened, so they wouldn't come willingly. They would be utterly terrified about I'll just play that again whilst I'm talking. They would be utterly terrified, and then they would not be particularly happy. In fact, that's an understatement. They would be utterly terrified of where they were going, what was happening to them. They've seen all of their family and friends being dragged away and never to be seen again. They've very often certainly heard or smelled or seen the slaughter site, so they know full well what's going on, and it renders them utterly terrified. And so this is a really big deal that we are now saying, Dal, please trust us. You know, why on earth should she? Why should she trust us? But the thing is, she does. And she's beginning to, and this is where Louise has done an absolutely sterling job with her. So we're building up trust. So I'm just going to talk you through the video, which we'll start from scratch. There we go. So what Louise is doing is she's feeding her hands through the lead. So what she's doing is we've clipped on, clipped off quite a number of times. So we now progress to let's allow this thing to move. We're not going to put any tension on it yet. We're just going to move this thing that is attached to your neck. And we use what's called a Trixie lead. It's a very, very light cord. And you get it from Amazon. You get loads of meters for about £7. It's an incredible training resource. And we clip that on, and then we just feed it through our hands so that she gets used to that movement. And as you can see, look at that. So what she does is she drops her head onto the floor, rests her head on the floor, and lets out this deep sigh. So she's letting go of the tension and knows she can trust. And there is Louise stroking her. She can stroke her all over, which is wonderful to see. So just in terms of, first of all, we test out and then we start building it into the training process. So I'm going to pick up those are my hands now, picking up that lead, feeding it through my hands. She's still nice and relaxed on the floor. And I'm going to put a bit of tension. We always say 10% tension on that lead just to see how she is. And as she, just so she can get used to feeling that little bit 10% tension, and then we relax it. And by doing that, we desensitize them to the tension that they are inevitably going to feel on that lead. And what we want to do is we want to like wipe the slate clean. So say this is not like being in the dog meat farms. This is actually being here in a loving home where you can live your life and be happy and safe. And we just want you to know that 10% pressure means that you still survive. You still survive, and you're going to get used to it. And in fact, you're going to ignore it eventually, because the next step is to get her to walk around the house with a lead on, and then in the garden, which is the progression from the house. And then once she's comfortable in the house and the garden, and she can cope with pressure on the lead, then we would take her outside of the garden gate, maybe down the driveway and back again, and start building up the distance that she can walk and feel comfortable and safe. So we're always progressive, but we go in little bite-sized chunks, and those bite-sized chunks are dependent on what that dog is demonstrating to us in terms of what they can cope with. So as I said, Dal is doing an absolutely fantastic job there with Louise. Louise has done an amazing job. She's really brought Dal on, and that means allowing Dal to be able to trust a human being and trust what they're doing with their hands and trust being touched and trust to be hand fed. It's amazing. It's amazing. We're very, very happy with that. Let's have a little update on this little boy. So this little boy is Ken. He arrived in October of 2020. Yes, he did. 2020, which was big lockdown territory, wasn't it? Well, we didn't lock down. We were bringing dogs in all the way through lockdown. But the first lockdown we didn't, because the whole world was in shock, wasn't it? For those first few months of the beginning of 2020, and then as soon as that first lockdown happened, we got right back onto it, and we were bringing dogs in all the way from sort of the summer of 2020 right up to current day. And Ken is one of those dogs. So Ken is a Labrador, found himself in jeopardy in the dog meat trade. Obviously, at some point, he was bred to be a pet. Obviously, at some point, he was a pet. But you know that all roads in South Korea lead to the dog meat trade, and Ken's another example of that. Now, when he came over, I just want you to watch this video. I'll keep the volume off, but let's have a little look at this video, and you can see that we lovingly called him Fat Ken because he was obese and massively overweight. And you'll be able to see when you see the back of him that just how like broad he is. He's just so fat. There is so much weight on Ken. I think he's lost something in the region of around about 10 to 12 kilos since he arrived. And you can tell his head looks very small in comparison to his body. So let's just watch that video over again, and then you can see the size of him. So he was 40 something kilos when he first arrived, and he's not the biggest dog in the world. And we do find that the labs, the retrievers and the mastiffs generally are obese. So here is, this is about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when he arrived, end of October. It could even have been the 1st of November, the morning of the 1st of November, but it was definitely the end of October. And so he's in my village. He lives, as the crow flies, about 500 meters that away, and I meet him regularly on our walks. We've got about 8. Here, Molly's here. We've got about 8 dogs in the village. We're Little Peak District village, and we've got about 8 dog meat trade survivors. There's 3 of them actually in this house, so we might be actually up to 9. I must do a recount. And with great homes, great loving homes. And so he lives not very far away from me. And this is the little video of him just the other day. And look at Ron getting lots of lovely strokes from Brenda. And Millie's behaving herself too. This is perfect actually this morning. Yes. Little dilly dog. Steady as a rock she is. Oh, look at that. Good boy, Ron. Well done, Ken. You are such a sweet pea. It's much more relaxed, isn't it? So that was Brenda, his mum. I'm going to show you the video again. You can see the difference in Ken, who we can no longer call Fat Ken. He's more like Fat Boy Slim. He's beautiful. There's my Ron. Look at how amazing that is with Ron. Ron is super, super friendly. He loves people now. Do you remember how terrified he was when he first arrived? And also, like last year, he's always been very underconfident around dogs. And last year, it just went massively in the wrong direction. And I realise now why and how. He came across a couple of entire dogs, unneutered dogs, unfortunately. And they really worried him. And then he generalized his concern for all the dogs in the world. And now he's getting super confident with dogs as well. So he's doing brilliantly. And I just love that. So I'm just going to show you that again. I will mute it this time. There we go. There we go. There's Ron having a big old cuddle. There's Millie. And there we go. There's Ken looking brilliant. And there, of course, is my gorgeous Dilly dog, who is doing fantastically well. She had a horrendous year health-wise last year, and she's still with us. She's remarkable. And look how slim he looks. So look how slim Ken is, because his head looks in proportion with his body. He's so fit and healthy, and he and his mum walk around the moors and the hills and the dales constantly. So he's a very, very happy, very lucky boy. How cool is that? So what are we going to see now? Let's have a little look. Hang about. Oh, what happened here? Oh, that's the right. Okay, so the dog that I'm going to show you next is a dog called Kelly. You may remember she came probably about 12 weeks or so, about 4 months ago. Now, here's what I'm going to say to you about Kelly, who we again, at terms of endearment and names, and we change your names all over the place, and Kelly just didn't seem right for her. I thought she was a Daisy. Angela, her foster mum, thought she was a Dotty, so we call her Miss Dotty Daisy. Now, Miss Dotty Daisy is an incredible young lady. Her brother came over and is with Sarah Ben. That's Miley. I'm just gonna say hello to Molly Chops. There we go, Molly Chops. Say hello to everybody. And I'm gonna put Molly on the floor. There we go. There you go. You can have a scoot about on the floor, moles. So Miss Dotty Daisy is a dog who freezes. So we have fight, flight, and freeze, and she's a prime example of a dog that would just utterly freeze and give up. So in under pressure, what she does is freeze. So when she first arrived, we had no movement from her at all. And Angela and I are going to do a live broadcast all about her, and we'll give you more information. But we had to get her to even stretch her body out by using food. And if I moved the food too far away from her, she wouldn't move. If I brought it back, she would stretch to it. So it incrementally moved it centimetre by centimetre, literally, in order to get her to move. So she now has harness and leads and collars and trackers. She has all our safety protocols on. Clever girl. She can move freely and independently from the house into the garden and backwards. However, when there is a human being there and the human being happens to be on the other end of the lead, that's when she freezes now. So she's got all that lovely movement now. She chooses which bed she wants to lie in and all sorts of things. So what we're doing is we're beginning to introduce her to the outdoor. Angela is bringing her outside every day. And you can see here that this is what Angela does. She takes her a few yards away from her house. This is a very quiet lane, again, in one of our towns in Derbyshire. And they sit on the pavement. You can see the little black and white being further away towards the end of the building is Lola the cat. So the cat gets in on the act. I've got Tia with me, that is one of Angela's other dogs, very quiet, safe pair of hands. And Angela picks her up and carries her, takes her, sits with her on the roadside, and watches people go by. Cars go by very, very slowly because of there's not many cars around and the makeup of the area. So it's a very safe place to be. And people walk past with or without dogs and chat. So it's really nice exposure to people, to things, to the environment, and she's been held the whole time. So that is lovely, Miss Dotty Daisy, and I will show you that she is making a few steps. So let me just see if we can.
Being escorted by Lola the cat.
Let me just get the right one.
She's going to go with Lola here. Her
I'm going to
sister.
remove one. Remove. I'll just remove all of these for now. But it says add to stream. I may have left something in the pipeline. Oh, it's a photograph. That's why. Hang on 2 seconds, everyone. Hang on 2 seconds. Let's get back to that one. It's a very short video, but when we play it from the beginning, you'll see that she's moving for just a few steps.
So what Angela's going to do is she's going to go with
in about half an hour of being out and about with her. Those were the only steps that she made, but wow, she made them, which was great. Then we sat on the floor and we just made it okay for her and picked her up and brought her back home. So we'll do a live broadcast on Miss Dotty Daisy. I have the most brilliant news, and she has been adopted by a wonderful gentleman in Chesterfield, which is about half an hour, 40 minutes up the road. And we're very excited about that. He's a very gentle soul. He has a quite elderly dog called Max, who is also a lovely, gentle soul. They live in a lovely community with a lovely extended family and really supportive neighbours. So we're really super excited because that's going to be a whole community of support for this little girl. Isn't it remarkable that these dogs are rescued from the dog meat trade? Utterly remarkable. They're rescued from the dog meat trade, and as such, they are anonymous and only valued for their meat, for their consumption. And we bring them here to the UK, and you have a gentleman who wants to adopt with a lovely dog who's going to fall in love with her, with a neighbour who already has fallen in love with her, and with children who equally have fallen in love with her. And they're all going to work together to support this gorgeous girl. And that's what we're really super proud of. So myself and Julia and Carrie, we work so hard to get these dogs into the right homes, the homes that are right for them. So we're more of a dating agency because we're more of a matching process, really, to make sure we get the right dogs into the right homes. And we do what we can in order to be able to make that happen. And we cannot do it without the help and support of every person who is involved, whether you're watching on the Facebook or YouTube broadcasts or whatever. What I would like to do is I'd like to ask each and every person to subscribe and like this YouTube video, please. Subscribe and like the YouTube video because that is amazing. We want to increase our profile on YouTube. We want to help as many dogs as we possibly can to get into great homes here in the UK. And that's why we stick ourselves in front of the cameras like this. It's what we do to bring these stories to life for you. What I would really, really now like to do is to end with a beautiful short video of my gorgeous Mollykins.
Come on then. Come on, Molly.
And there she is, having a mooch around on the it's like a playing fields, really, just up in the village there. And there's these lovely little inclines that go down to the football pitch where the kids play. And she darts down those, as you can imagine, as a like Sterling Moss or Lewis Hamilton, going as fast as she possibly can. She's doing really well. She's doing really, really well this time of year. She enjoys being out on the grass. She enjoys being out in the fresh air. She's on the grass without her wheels and with her wheels, and she's got her brothers and sisters here in the home. She loves her life and she is living her best life, as you know. So let's just have another quick look at the Mollykins. There she is. There's my girl. There's my girl. There's a little photograph just to burn into your retinas and to keep in your mind that this is the work that we do. We're never quite sure how a dog is going to present. We've got a pretty good idea, but we're never quite sure of the nuances of that. We're flexible and we work with whatever it is that we have got, whatever it is that is presented to them. We're working really, really hard. That's myself, Carrie, and Julia. We're working very, very hard to look after all of the dogs that we are lucky enough to get into foster and adoptive homes here in the UK. So please subscribe. Please like our videos. Please watch them all the way to the end. Or if you haven't got time, just leave them running all the way to the end. That would be great because it gets our minutes on YouTube up. So if you click on it, if you click, just stay clicked. Go and make a cup of tea. But, you know, if you love dogs, I'm sure you will be here to the end with us. Let's end the dog meat trade so that we don't have a job to do like this, so that dogs like Tommy and Dal, like Molly, like the absolutely amazing Miss Dotty Daisy, and like the beautiful Ken, all of those dogs shouldn't have to go through the trauma that they have been through to live their best life. But you know what? Once they get here, they absolutely do. Right, my lovelies. Take care, everyone. See you very soon. Take care. Bye. Bye, everyone.